In this video, we're taking a look at the state of the Electoral College based on recent polling, and we'll start on the West Coast. Unsurprisingly, Joe Biden holds a 20-point lead over Trump in California, according to recent polling from UC Berkeley. It has been nearly a year since our last polling out of Oregon, but two polls show Joe Biden leading by double digits. It's a state he's going to win easily. He's also going to win Washington easily, as recent polling shows Biden with double-digit leads over both Trump and Ron DeSantis. Right off the bat, Joe Biden is banking these 74 electoral votes on the West Coast. Alaska was a state that Donald Trump won by double digits in 2020, but recent polling from Alaska Survey Research shows him up by just 7 points. That falls into the likely column for the GOP, but it's a state Trump or the Republican nominee should win nonetheless. We actually don't have a single poll out of Hawaii, but that's alright. We know Biden is going to win by double digits. Democrats have won Hawaii by double digits in every presidential election since 2008. That brings us to our first swing state in Arizona. If you're enjoying this video so far, give it a quick thumbs up as it helps more people find this video. We have a lot of polling out of Arizona. Unfortunately, most of the polls were sponsored by Democratic or Republican groups. Generally speaking, polls sponsored by a political party are agenda-driven and favor the candidate representing that party, so I'm going to ignore them for the purposes of this video. Fortunately, our most recent poll is from Emerson, and it shows Donald Trump leading by 2%. When Cornel West was added, Trump's lead shrunk to 1%. Let's be clear, Cornel West would be lucky to get 4% of the vote in Arizona. The Green Party didn't even make the ballot in Arizona in 2020. A 1 to 2 point lead is well within the margin of error and puts this in the tilt Trump category. Nevada polling is a bit of a mess. We have a Republican pollster trying to make Trump look bad, finding that DeSantis was running 6 points ahead of Trump in Nevada. I don't think so. We have a poll sponsored by a Democratic Party super PAC showing Biden leading Trump by 2. We have a GOP PAC poll showing Trump up 1. We have 2 polls from Vote TXT. They aren't even rated by 538, and those polls show Trump and DeSantis leading Biden by 8 and 10 points respectively. I'm not so sure about that. And we have 2 polls from Noble Predictive Insights from 6 months ago. They showed Biden leading Trump and DeSantis by 8 and 1 points respectively. As far as I'm concerned, polling shows this race as a toss-up, and I'm leaving it blank on my map for this video. We don't have any polling out of Utah, Idaho, or Wyoming, but the GOP candidate will win those states by double digits. In Montana, there's a very competitive Senate race breaking out. Jon Tester is the incumbent, while Tim Sheehy and Matt Rosendale are running a tight primary on the GOP side. The polls are razor thin in that race, but don't let that trick you into thinking Biden is competitive in Montana. Joe Biden simply is not going to win Montana, and recent polls show him trailing Trump and DeSantis by double digits. Our most recent polling from Colorado shows Biden leading DeSantis and Trump by 3 and 10 points respectively, and while this poll wasn't sponsored by a partisan group, it was conducted by Public Opinion Strategies, Ron DeSantis' polling firm. So it's not surprising that they found DeSantis to be competitive in Colorado and much more competitive than Trump. Polling from nearly a year ago also shows Biden with solid leads. Here's the deal, the polling we have isn't great, but it confirms what we know: the Democrats will likely win Colorado. The state has been trending towards the Democrats for years, and a GOP victory in 2024 would be a major upset. I was surprised to see we have some recent polling from New Mexico, where Biden leads DeSantis and Trump by 6 and 8 points respectively. The poll was sponsored by a nonprofit news organization called New Mexico Political Report. And the margins were a little closer than I would have expected. Democrats have won New Mexico in 7 of the past 8 presidential elections, and the past 4 elections haven't been very competitive at all, with Democrats winning by more than 8% each time. A polling lead of 5 to 10 points for Biden puts this in the likely Democratic column for me, and frankly, I'd be shocked if the GOP managed to flip it in 2024, and honestly, if New Mexico flips, the Electoral College has already been lost. Texas is a state Democrats have been dreaming about flipping for years. The margins have narrowed in the past 2 election cycles, leading some Democrats to believe this could be their year. The most recent nonpartisan polling was conducted back in May by the Texas Hispanic Policy Foundation. Their poll found Trump and DeSantis leading Joe Biden by just 2%. Even a poll sponsored by a GOP group last April showed a close race in Texas. I expect the Republican candidate to do a bit better than a 2% victory on election night, but polling puts this race at lean GOP. There aren't any recent polls from Oklahoma, but polling from about a year ago confirmed what we knew: this state is safe for the GOP. And the exact same thing can be said about Kansas. Nebraska is a tricky state because it's one of only 2 states that awards at-large delegates for the winner statewide, and 1 delegate to the winner of each of the state's congressional districts. And unfortunately, we don't have any Nebraska polls, but we can make an educated guess that Trump wins Nebraska at large, as well as Nebraska's 1st and 3rd congressional district. I still think Joe Biden is the slight favorite to win the 2nd congressional district, which he carried in 2020. But due to redistricting, I'm making it tilt Biden because the district is a little bit more favorable for the GOP now. This rating may change once we actually get some polling data out of Nebraska. Nobody is polling the Dakotas, but the GOP will win both states by double digits. And no one other than Public Opinion Strategies is polling Minnesota. Their poll found Biden leading DeSantis and Trump by 2 and 8 points respectively. This is a likely Democrat state. Minnesota hasn't voted for a Republican presidential candidate since 1972. But we do have some nonpartisan general election polling out of Iowa. A recent Emerson poll found Trump leading Biden by double digits. It's crazy to think that Obama won this state twice, as Iowa has taken a hard right turn since then, and it actually falls into the safe category based on Trump's double-digit polling lead. It's been about a year since we had polling from Missouri. All the polls then showed Trump leading by double digits, and I expect any polls conducted today to show the same thing, safe for the GOP. About a year ago, Echelon Insights conducted polling in the southern states of Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. All those polls showed Trump winning by double digits, and they're all safe for the GOP in 2024. A recent WPA intelligence poll from Alabama shows Trump with a 25-point lead. I'd say that's safe for the GOP. Next, we'll head to Florida, one of the most important battleground states. The GOP dominated in Florida in the 2022 midterms, but polling for general election matchups in 2024 is a bit all over the place. A recent Florida Atlantic University poll showed Trump and DeSantis leading Biden by double digits, but Florida hasn't been decided by double digits since the 1980s. This poll seems like a bit of an outlier to me. Unfortunately, we then have to go all the way back to March for additional polling, most of which showed the GOP candidate leading by single digits. However, one Emerson poll did find Biden leading Trump by 1%. So when we average it all out, Trump leads Biden by 5, and DeSantis leads Biden by a little more than 8%. That makes a little bit of sense considering he's Florida's governor. I'm putting Florida in the lean GOP category, as I expect Trump to be the nominee, and I think the FAU poll is a slight outlier. Georgia is one of the most important states in the 2024 presidential election. Unfortunately, all the polls we have are partisan. Even this Rasmussen poll. Rasmussen is a conservative pollster, and The Absolute Truth with Emerald Robinson is a far-right news program hosted on a conservative video platform. We cannot trust any of these results. If we average the Trump polls, he's leading Biden on average by 1.6%. That's with 5 of the 6 polls being sponsored by conservative groups. If you want to call Georgia tilt GOP, that's fine, but I'm leaving it as a true toss-up until we get more reliable polling data. South Carolina is a little more straightforward. It was included in the group of southern polls conducted by Echelon Insights. Trump held the 12-point lead, while DeSantis and Biden were actually tied. That feels like a bit of an outlier to me. I think South Carolina is safe for the GOP, especially if Trump is on the ballot. North Carolina is a state the Biden campaign wants to flip in 2024, but recent polling suggests that will be challenging. We have polls from the past 3 months. 2 were sponsored by Democratic groups, and they actually both showed Trump with decent-sized leads. Polling conducted by Opinion Diagnostics, who isn't rated by 538, showed DeSantis and Trump with leads of 5 and 3, respectively. I think it's quite telling that Democratic polls found Trump ahead, and the GOP has won North Carolina in 10 of the last 11 presidential elections. Flipping North Carolina will be a big uphill battle for Biden, and it's a lean GOP state based on current polls. Tennessee, however, will not be competitive. Polling from June shows DeSantis and Trump with double-digit leads over Joe Biden. The only poll we have from Kentucky is an Andy Beshear internal poll. Beshear is the governor of Kentucky, and he's running for re-election in 2023. His campaign's poll showed Trump beating Biden by 21. Kentucky is safe for the GOP. We don't have any polling out of Indiana or West Virginia, but both states are safe for the GOP in 2024. On the flip side, Joe Biden should win Illinois by double digits. Recent polling from Core Strategies shows Biden leading DeSantis and Trump by double digits. And before we talk about the Rust Belt states, I want to knock out the East Coast states. In Virginia, recent polling shows Joe Biden leading Trump by an average of 6, trailing Glenn Youngkin by 7, and tied with Ron DeSantis. Fortunately for Joe, Trump is the clear favorite to be the GOP nominee. Glenn Youngkin isn't running, and DeSantis' campaign is basically dead. Based on current polling, Virginia falls into the likely Biden category in a matchup with Donald Trump. Siena is one of the best pollsters in the country, and their data from New York shows Joe Biden with a double-digit lead. That's safe for the Democrats. There's no recent polling from D.C., Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, or Vermont, but these are all states that Joe Biden will win quite comfortably. Polling from this summer shows Joe Biden with a double-digit lead over Trump and DeSantis in Maryland as well. That's safe for the Democrats. New Hampshire has historically been a bit more competitive than the other New England states, but Biden does appear to be in a strong position based on current polling. Biden leads Trump by an average of 8, DeSantis by 9, and Tim Scott by 5. Even RFK Jr. is beating Trump in New Hampshire. Current polling puts New Hampshire in the likely column for Joe Biden. We don't have any recent polling out of Maine. Maine is the other state that awards 2 at-large delegates to the winner statewide and 1 to the winner of each congressional district. I'm expecting Maine to play out similarly to how it did in 2020, with Joe Biden winning at-large and winning the 1st congressional district, while Trump or the GOP candidate wins the 2nd congressional district. As we head to the Rust Belt, the GOP has 229 electoral votes, while Joe Biden sits at 226. And if you're enjoying this video so far, please hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with the latest polling and election news. We'll start in Pennsylvania. We have 2 recent nonpartisan polls. Franklin and Marshall College found Joe Biden leading Trump by 2. Quinnipiac, a very highly rated pollster, found Trump leading Biden by 1. That averages to a tilt Biden. If we chose to include the 2 polls sponsored by partisan organizations, the average still comes out to 1%, and it's still tilt Biden. While Public Opinion Strategies found DeSantis beating Biden by 3, Susquehanna found Biden leading DeSantis by 9. Those average out to a 3-point Biden lead, which would put it in the lean category. But I think Trump will be the nominee. We know Public Opinion Strategies is the DeSantis pollster, and the Susquehanna poll is the oldest in our group, so I'm making Pennsylvania tilt Biden. Ohio appears to be slipping away for the Democrats. Trump won Ohio by 8 points in 2016 and 2020. 2024 polling shows Trump leading by an average of 7.5, while DeSantis leads by an average of 2. Right now, Ohio is likely GOP if Trump is the nominee, and lean GOP if it's anyone else. Next, we're going to head to Michigan, where the state GOP party is broke. Fortunately, we're rich in polls. Biden leads Trump by an average of 1.75 when we use Emerson's head-to-head poll, but that average shrinks to just 1 when we use Emerson's 3-way race poll. DeSantis looks far less competitive, trailing Biden by 9.5 on average, but I do think that Biden plus 13 is a bit of an outlier. In a Biden versus Trump matchup, Michigan is tilt Biden. In a Biden versus DeSantis matchup, Michigan is likely Biden. I suppose you could then average those out to lean Biden, but I'm going to stick with tilt for now. Wisconsin is our only state left on the map. If Biden wins it, he hits 270, winning the Electoral College. And we have 1 recent nonpartisan poll. It was conducted by Marquette, arguably the best Wisconsin pollster. Head-to-head, Biden leads DeSantis by 2 and Trump by 9. If Biden beats Trump by 9 in Wisconsin in 2024, the GOP is going to be in for a very long night. I don't think Biden's victory would be that large, but any way you shake it, Biden is still the favorite to win Wisconsin, hitting 270 electoral votes. He wouldn't need either of our 2 toss-ups based on current polling. Our final result is pretty similar to last month's map, where Biden led Trump 276 to 262 electoral votes. Who do you think is going to win the 2024 presidential election? Let me know in the comments section down below. Then check out my next video to see who would win in a Biden versus Nikki Haley matchup in 2024.